Hey guys, Nick here from D&D Character Creations. I hope everybody's been enjoying the summer weather and getting out there and having fun. So I just wanted to give a little bit update on the format of the videos. Before, I was doing roleplay ideas and then mechanics, or mechanics and then roleplay ideas to kind of divide everything up. But that format didn't seem to be working. And after some advice from other folks, I've decided to go through the roleplay ideas as we go through the build, to talk about ways that you can use them in your games, to kind of flesh that out. And again, this channel is really just about giving you a starting point, giving you ideas and tips on how to kind of work on your character's roleplay growth story-wise, as well as look at some ideas for mechanics. So with that said, we're going to go into today's video, which is going to be about internal conflict, how you can build internal conflict into your character's background, and then through the course of adventuring, how you can come to terms with that. And again, that narrative is really up to you, but what I'm doing is giving you that kind of framework that allows you to kind of lean into a character's internal conflict. And today we're going to be talking about pacifism versus how you have to take maybe violent action in your campaign in order to protect the people that you care about. A little bit different than our first video, which was really a protector. This one is more of a caregiver, and it's not going to be a cleric. So with that said, we're going to get right into today's build. So for today, we're going to be looking at monk. So as folks may know, with the monk, when you start out, you want to look at dexterity and wisdom. So for traits, we're looking at acrobatics and history and alchemist supplies. To start with, then we get our martial arts die. We get unarmored defense, which means that our dexterity plus our wisdom modifiers are added to our AC. That's where we start off. And then for our background, I chose the hermit. And the hermit allows us to do brewer supplies, but it also gives us proficiency with the healer's kit. And the healer's kit is what we use to stabilize someone. I added brewer supplies because that allows us to look for toxins or alcoholic beverages. We get to identify those things. And for our stats, we did 1 into Constitution, 2 into Wisdom. Moving forward, I chose Tiefling. So Tiefling is typically your conflict character that, it is a trope, and it's okay to lean into tropes because tropes give us a springboard on starting somewhere, right? Like we could do where other people have kind of like, with some critical role tieflings have started elsewhere, but I feel like tieflings are really there for conflict because they come from a devil, parentage, and there's that dark kind of violent nature to devils. So here I felt that for that internal conflict, for someone who wants to sort of get away from their past, this is really a good species to start with. And we chose, for our Fiendish Legacy, we chose the Abyssal, which gives us our poison spray cantrip, which we can use any old time. Gives us Ray of Sickness and Hold Person at upper levels that we can use once per long rest. And then we got our legacy spells are going to be using wisdom, because wisdom is what we're going to be kind of pushing into as a monk. And we get thaumaturgy just for fun. So that's the species. And then for starting stats, we went with 8 into strength, 14 to dexterity, 13 into constitution, with that +1 gets it to 14, 10 into intelligence, 15 into wisdom, plus the 2 gets us to 17, and then the charisma was 12. And I like 12 because with this person, I do feel like they might be a mediator a little bit, so giving them that little bump to sort of those charisma checks is probably going to be a little bit nicer than maybe into other stats. So getting into level 2, we get our focus points, or in 2014 they were key points, which allow us to do a bunch of different things as we expend points. So in 2024, as a bonus action at level 2, a monk can either disengage as a bonus action, or they can dash as a bonus action. And if you spend a key point, you can do an additional thing. So you can disengage and dodge, or you can dash and disengage, and you get like a little bit of extra oomph with the step of the wind. And as a focus point, you can take 2 unarmed attacks as a bonus action, which gives you 3 attacks in a round. Starting die is 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier. We get a little bit of healing with uncanny metabolism, and then at level 3 we get our subclass, and our subclass is going to be Warrior of Mercy. And the thing about Warrior of Mercy, which the background that they say is sort of like the physician, and I do feel like we should lean into that physician idea, because here is a person whose abyssal legacy is poison based, right? And so they're going to want to get away from that poison powers that they have, and they want to look at doing some good. So that's why we have that healer's kit, which allows us to stabilize someone. And because we're proficient with it and we have that feat, we can actually use it to expend a hit die and actually get them back up when we take the utilize action. So a little bit of healing that they can do using a healer's kit outside of combat is where they're going to be probably using that. We also, like I said, had Alchemist Supply, which allows us to do a couple other things. And we have the Brewer's Kit, which we said allows us to identify poison in a drink or alcohol. So a lot of kit-based abilities here with this build so far. And I like to give people options outside of combat to kind of do things. And I think if we make this really kit-focused, that gives you a lot of kind of things to do. And it's always good to have options. So when we become a Warrior of Mercy, we get Hand of Harm or Hand of Healing. Hand of Harm allows us to just do a little bit more damage with a key point. And that's nice. I mean, 1d6, so you can turn that into 2d6 plus 4, or at this point 2d6 plus 3. But I like the healing aspect, which allows us to do 1d6 plus 3 when we use a focus point and we can heal someone. So again, we're doing a little bit more damage or a little bit of healing. And again, this person is probably getting away from that poison identity, that dark identity. They want to be a healer, and this kind of leans into it. And I think they're going to have to struggle with how to be a pacifist, but at the same time, how to protect the people that are in their care. Because again, I want this to be more of a physician role. They're not a cleric. They're not really doing a bunch of healing. They're a hybrid, and they're doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So going into Implements of Mercy, we now get access to the Herbalism Kit. Now the Herbalism Kit allows us to create healing potions. So now we've got the ability to create antitoxins, identify poison, bring our people up, and create a healing potion. So we're really getting into this crafting idea, but we're really focused on that physician aspect, because we're not using magic to heal our allies. We're using, nature. Then at level 4, I chose the Poisoner feat, which gets us the Poisoner kit. So now we can create vials of poison. Why do we want to do this? So we can't take the Poisoner feat at level 1. And I feel like in their background, maybe they were dipping into poison and they're trying to get away from it. We're not really going to be doing anything with poison other than that, but I feel like from a conflict side, the ability to create antitoxins, but also to create toxins, I feel is really good with this duality. Like maybe I need this I need this poison. I might put it on my weapons, but it also allows us to get around enemies that are resistant to poison. So with our poison spray and with our ray of sickness, it actually allows us to kind of beat it. So there's some synergy with what the Abyssal Legacy gets us. We can also coat daggers, and monks are proficient in daggers, and the daggers scale with their monk die. So it goes from so normally it would be a D4. As a monk, it's a D6, and as we get up, it'll be a D8, D10, D12. And we can use a bonus action to apply that poison, and then we can, stab somebody with it. I just feel like I said, I can't put it in the background, but I would think that this is really would be in someone's background. So like at level 4, it just kind of comes out that maybe that you used to be a poisoner and it's something in your repertoire that you had. You're trying to move away from it, but it is a skill that you know, and it does increase our dexterity a little bit. So now we get that bump. We get slow fall. At level 5, we get an extra attack. We also get stunning strike, which allows us to give our victim the stun condition. At level 6, we get empowered strikes, which allows us to change our unarmored strikes to force damage instead of bludgeoning. And then at level 6, we also get physician's touch. So when you use your hand of harm on a creature, you can give that creature the poison condition until your next turn. Again, leaning into that poison identity. We can use it if we need to, and maybe we don't want to do it, but maybe maybe we have to give in a little bit. Maybe there's an encounter that requires us to poison a creature. And again, poisoning mechanically gives them disadvantage on ability scores and attack rolls. But, thematically, it would be something that perhaps your character would not want to do, but maybe the situation calls for it, and there should be some struggle. Hand of Healing, on the other hand, allows us to, when we use it, as when we spend a key point or as part of the flurry of blows, we can now cure the blind, deafen, paralyzed, poison, and stun conditions. So now at level 6, you can craft a bunch of things, including healing potions. You can now remove a condition with your healing hand, again using only one focus point, so we have other options that are available to us. And I think level 8 is going to be kind of fun. So we're going to go to evasion at level 7, which allows us, when we succeed on a dexterity saving throw, we take no damage, which is great. And then at level 8, I gave us the chef feat. So again, I want to lean into that caretaker. You're using your kits to heal your allies. You're doing a little bit of extra healing, kind of to save your cleric from having to do certain things. But as part of a short rest with cooking utensils, you can prepare some food for about 4 or 5 people. And at the end of the short rest, any creature who eats that food can spend 1 or more hit dice to regain hit points, and then they regain an extra D8 hit points. So when you're rolling at a short rest, when you're rolling hit die to heal, you can get an additional D8 of healing. The other thing is, with some working, you can create these treats. You eat the treats and you get a little bit of temp HP equal to your proficiency bonus. So like 2 or 3. At level 8, is it uber? No. But is it fun to have this character who can cook and heal and kind of do minor conditions? Like, it's sort of really the sage idea or a druid kind of idea where they are healing people, but they're not clerics. I think in a world that lacks maybe divine influence, this is a person who is who might go town to town, like bandaging people up. If you need to help a bunch of people, and as a cleric you don't want to be spending spell slots, as this type of character you're healing them with food, or you're using your healer's kit, or you're stabilizing them, you're using your focus points, which actually come back on a short rest, right? So this is a person who could help many people, as opposed to a cleric who can really raise and heal like 1 or 2 people using their spell slots. And I feel like that's a really good thing when we're talking about, again, inner conflict, because they are hurting people, but now they have this capacity to do so much in the downtime to help others. And I feel like that's why I like Chef. Like it leans into this, I'm a Swiss Army knife of things that I can do outside of combat. At 8, we get acrobatic movement, which allows us to kind of run on vertical surfaces or water. We get heightened focus at 10, which allows us to do an extra attack when we do our flurry of blows. Patient defense gives us temporary hit points. Step of the wind at level 10 allows us to move a creature with us when we use the dash action as a bonus action, and it doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. And this is where, like, if you need to get someone out of harm's way, you can at this point move 50 feet. So you can grab them, move them 50 feet, maybe heal them, or like you can, like if they're unconscious, or you can get them out of harm's way, use your healing hand, get them back up, and then off you go. And at this point, I think it's around like a D10, maybe a D8, and then you have self-restoration, which means that now you can end charmed, frightened, or poisoned on you, and you don't get exhaustion when you don't eat. And then at 11, we get flurry. When you use your flurry of blows, you can replace each of the unarmed strikes with the use of healing hand without expending a focus point for healing. So this means that at level 11, as a bonus action, we get 3 unarmed attacks. So that's 3d10 plus, at this point, 4. So that's minimum of a 12. So 3d10 plus 12. And that is potentially like 40 hit points of healing. But we'll split the diff and we'll say it's like 27 hit points. That's pretty good with 1 key point. In addition, when you make an unarmed strike with flurry of blows and deal damage, you can use Hand of Harm with the strike without expending a focus point. You can still only use it once per turn, but that means that we're doing an extra bit of damage for free because we're already using our flurry of blows, and we can give someone the poison condition. And you can use the benefits of this total amount based on your wisdom modifier, which at this point we know is which is +4. And then at level 12, I just bumped up our dex to kind of get us to 17. So looking at the character sheet at level 12, right? We have our dagger, we've got our poison spray from our Fiendish Legacies, we've got our Hand of Harm, which is a D10 +4. We've got our Hand of Healing, which is a D10. We're battle medic, which means that we can do the utilize action to kind of get somebody up. We've got our stunning strike, our flurry of blows. So I think at this point, basically at level 12, what we're saying is that we hope they come to terms with the fact that they have to be violent at times to protect the people under their charge. And I would use the example of this, that perhaps the group is protecting a village. And this monk, and I've named this character Xavien Felstone for the purposes of the video. So Xavien and his group are protecting this village, right? Maybe they came upon a village and there was already some hurt people, and he's worked with them to kind of get them back up. He's used healer kits, he's used some meals, he's spent some time with them, he really cares about them. And then the threat that came to the village is coming back again, and he has to defend them. And you can't be the peacemaker all the time. He wishes he could, but he can't. And so now he needs to use his skills to defend the people that he just took care of, the people in his charge. And his party members are also the people under his care. He's a physician. So as a physician, it is do no harm, right? That in our real world, physicians take an oath to do no harm, but here he has to. And so I think that it straddles the line of allowing you, again, we're doing the poison condition mechanically because it gives people disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws, but really it's the struggle between, hurting someone, giving them an ailment versus curing them of an ailment, which we know that our healing hand can do. One hand harms, other hand heals. That duality and how you struggle with it. And at level 12, I think you would come to the realization that in some cases, you really, the best way to care for someone is to make sure they don't get hurt. And when you have a good reason to protect someone, that's when you step in. And so, we look at all these things that we could do. with our, a little bit with the poisoner. We can, with a bonus action, we can apply some poison. We've got 2 attacks, but one of those attacks, we can land the poison. If we don't, we have the Hand of Harm that allows us to do the poison condition. So I kind of give it to you there that poisoner is to prevent you from having to spend focus points on the poison condition. It gives you kind of a freebie. And so instead of a focus point, you can use a bonus action. And you've got a lot of skills here that you can take from, like history and acrobatics and insight and medicine and nature and religion, these things that allow you to kind of like, I would have tried for investigation. Again, that helps us with our brewer's ability to kind of identify toxins. But I also feel like here's a person who's kind of like looking out for the party. Maybe they try and slip some poison into some drinks, during some like type of diplomatic thing. Again, these are features that I would hope your DM allows you to, utilize. The other thing with the healer kit that I didn't kind of go into was as a healing rerolls. As a healer, when you restore a number of hit points with a spell or with this feat, you can re-roll the die if it rolls a 1, but you must use the new roll. If I were your DM, I might say when you use your healing hand, because you're a healer, you can re-roll those healing hands if you get a 1 to kind of like make it a little bit better. I don't think that that's too much out of the question. So I hope that with this example of Xavien Felstone, you can kind of get a thematic feel of how you would work with this idea of conflict within a character and how you would resolve it. Why you would have to use violence when you are potentially a pacifist, to give you these abilities to kind of help people without being really a divine spellcaster. To give you ideas on how you can role play that in your game. And again, these ideas are not supposed to be meta. They're not there to really maximize anything. I feel like these characters should be well-rounded. They should be things that you enjoy playing outside of combat as well as in combat. They should give you tools to do the things that as a player you want to be able to do, because combat is really like, it's not every session and it's not the whole session. So hopefully with these you're able to kind of get some ideas on your own. But that would be it for this part of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, get out there and get creative. Take care.